Hello, and welcome to Becoming Relentless. I am your host, Tom Alvarez, and I'm excited to have you with me today as we embark on a journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. All right, welcome everyone. Today, we are joined by the incredible, the amazing, one of the greatest friends in the world, Tamyra Alicia, and we are going to talk about manifestation. Manifestation has been one of those topics where I've struggled with it. And Myra knows all about this way too much because her and I talk about this all the time. Recently, we had a really good conversation about this, and I said, you know what? Why don't we just put it on the podcast form and see where it goes? So here we are. Welcome, Myra, the first ever guest on the Becoming Relentless podcast.
Thank you very much for having me. Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
You are the best. All right, so let's get started, right? A lot of people know manifestation from the book, or for me, the movie, The Secret. Mm-hmm. And when I first saw that movie, they made it seem like it was poof, magic. And oh, you wish for it, boom, you got it, you get it. Even though that they would say, well, you have to still work towards it. Mm-hmm. That's not the vibe that I got from the whole thing. Yeah, they're saying that, but the way they're talking about it is it's just like poof, magic. Yeah. And to me, manifestation is 50-50. So I wanted to discuss, with the one person that I was go-to with this for this kind of topic. So what does manifestation mean to you beyond the just wishing?
So first, I don't think of as manifestation as wishing, right? Because a wish is literally just like you saying something that you hope will happen, that you want to happen, and you just kind of like put it out there. And it's just wishful thinking, right? But no actual intention is set behind that wish to bring that thing that you want into your physical reality. So I'll start by that. Second, I'll say you have to have clear intention with what you want. Some things are going to be instant manifestations, right? Like, if I leave my house today and I say, oh, I'm going to a busy area and I want a parking spot, I know that this parking spot is going to be available for me when I get there. I don't even have to worry about finding parking. I don't even have to worry about paying for a garage space, like nothing. It's just going to be there. It's going to be waiting for me. It wants me to park in this space. And I show up and it's there. But it's only there because I believe, and far beyond belief, I know that it's going to be there, because that is the intention that I set. And then when I got there, it was there. I did the work. I drove there. That's all I had to do.
All right. Okay. So would you say that's how you first started practicing manifestation?
Yeah, for sure. So my belief was very low when I first started out. I had a very, came from a background. It was like a very scarcity mindset background. So everything was more so, you'll never be able to have this. You'll never be able to have that. You'll never be able to do that thing. This is the only thing that rich people can do, or wealthy people, or whatever the case was. So starting off, my ability to believe that, first of all, I actually deserved what I wanted to have in my life, that I was actually going to be able to have it, and then knowing what to do with it once I got it, right? So I first started off with just trying to manifest a parking spot and then a free cup of coffee. And the free cup of coffee was even a big move, because at first I was thinking, how am I going to get free coffee? But that was my first problem. I was worried about how I was going to get it. With manifestation, you have to think of the thing as already being yours. Envision yourself drinking that cup of coffee. What did it taste like? Was it French vanilla? Was it caramel? Was it mocha? Was it hot? Was it ice? Like, what was it? And then just let it go, because you know you're going to get it.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it. I love the way you explain it, because I for a while there, I was inundated with TikTok videos about manifestation and everything else, and every single person, the way they described it was always something that was more in the cosmics. It was not really brought down to earth, right, to the physical realm. And that's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. So when was the first time that you actually manifested something big, something that was really important to you?
Okay. Let me think.
What did you do, and was it hard?
So the first time I ever manifested anything big was when I manifested a check. So I was living in my old apartment, and the company that I worked for was a mortgage company. And like anybody knows that ever has worked in mortgages, anytime there's an issue with interest rate, layoffs, right? Because your job is dependent upon, that. So as a person with kids, two kids, money, and I was still kind of in that mindset, that not abundant mindset of I can just like money is freely available to me. I was just like worried. I was like, oh my God, like I have to pay my rent, I have to pay my car, and I have to pay all of these things, right? And so the more stressed out I got, something in me just said like, well, you got that parking space and that free cup of coffee, so why can't you just manifest it? And like, it never dawned on me that I could just manifest money. I mean, I manifested the other things, right? So why couldn't, what was so different about this? And the only thing that was different was the belief within myself that I could do it. So I started out with something small. I said like $200. I said, I am so grateful for this $200 that I got in the mail. It just came in so unexpected, right on time, right when I needed it. And I was able to pay this bill or whatever it was. And then I just kind of let it go. And just in my mind, I was just waiting for the check to come. It wasn't like if the check was going to come, it was, okay, it's coming. I just got to wait for it to come. And it came. And it was way more than $200. And so once I saw that I could do that, I was just like, oh, okay. So let's see how many more checks I can get. And then I started expanding it to like direct deposits, people cash apping me, like literally anything. If you want to come to me, money, I'm here and available for you I'm your girl. Just come to me. I'm here.
You touched upon something that I've actually been doing, and it has something it relates to manifestation. And I got the idea from David Goggins, which you know how much I love him. And he calls it the cookie jar. And the idea of the cookie jar is that you write down everything that you've achieved, everything that you've achieved in your life, and how you got it, and you just put it in the cookie jar. So whenever you have your doubts, you go into the cookie jar, you reach in, and you read it, and go, oh yeah, I did that.
Yep.
I actually created something like that before I read that on his book. And I have a list of probably about 20 or 30 things on that list. And a lot of times whenever I'm having my doubts, I don't read it, but I think about the list. Because I know what's on that list. I don't have to read it all the time because I know what's on the list. And I cherry pick through my mind about, okay, I remember this, I remember that. Like, I'll tell you this, for example. You know this, but the audience doesn't know this. Many years ago, a long time ago, this is probably about 10 years ago, maybe. I had always wanted to work for the Golf Channel. And I loved it. I've always been a big fan of the NBC and everything else. And I was a bit of a fan of golf for a while there too. And I had applied for a job. This was before Zoom, before remote was even a thing. I actually had to go in there physically and meet the people and talk to them, and they would give me the tour and everything else. Well, I did not end up getting the job, and I went about my day and I had other jobs in between. Fast forward, I don't know, say probably 6 years, either probably about 5 or 6 years after that, I was about to my contract with the Orlando Magic was about to end. And I had applied for a job yet again at the Golf Channel. And this was in a different area, different, the sister company. And the same exact day that they told me that the contract was not going to get renewed with the Orlando Magic, that the contract was going to end, that was the same exact day that I got the job with the Golf Channel. And I was there for about 3 or 4 years. So I always find it amazing when stuff like that happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I've told you this 1,000 times. I feel like I'm a fucking kid in a candy store when stuff like that happens. Because I'm like, oh shit, that just happened. Oh, that's awesome. And it gets me excited.
Mm-hmm.
However, that excitement doesn't always last, right? Fear, doubt starts to creep up on me, and I start to doubt my abilities. I have my own issues with, what do they call it? The imposter syndrome. It happens to me all the time. Hell, I was going through it today about this. I'm like, oh, I don't want to record because I'm embarrassed, whatever crap I was telling myself, right? Which clearly none of it was true, because you and I have a great relationship, and that was never the case. But it was just stupid crap that I tell myself right before I'm about to do something, and none of it is true. So I block myself from manifesting or creating those things, even though that I know better. Mm-hmm. I know the truth. I know that this is going to be fucking great. If it's not, that's fine. Just keep on going. Just keep moving, no matter what. Don't slow down. And just, if you make a mistake, oh, well, move on to the next. You do better the next time, but just keep moving. Mm-hmm. And that doubt can sometimes be crippling. I've gotten better, a lot better than I ever was, right? When it comes to that doubt, because to me, manifesting is a lot like what you said, but it's more of a moment where you have faith in yourself.
Yes.
You believe that you could do it, and you will do it. For me right now, there's one thing that's been unwavering for a long time. And you know this because, we've discussed this in the past, and that is fitness. For me, there's nothing else in this world that could compare to that. I could use it as a base for explaining things, but it's a long, long, long process. And if I'm not doing the right things by, eating the proper foods and proper diets, I'm not going to be able to, it's going to take me longer to achieve my goals, but working out is always going to be a part of my thing. So, and I don't have a doubt about that. So with all that being said, how do you deal with your own doubts and fears? At least, I don't think you have any now, do you?
So I would definitely, I wouldn't say that that I'll ever experience doubt or fear, right? But I think the thing is that I just don't allow those things to control me at all. So I would say it was more so doubt in the beginning. And it was doubt because I had been conditioned to believe that I was only able to achieve what was in a small box. And so because I was conditioned to believe that I could only exist and navigate within this small box, I didn't notice that there was a whole world outside of this box that I could have access to if I wanted to. So even back then, though, I wouldn't necessarily say that I was afraid, but I was definitely doubtful that I deserved these things, doubtful that I could achieve these things, doubtful that I would be able to have these experiences with my children. And now I would say, I don't have doubt. Like, I know that I can do anything that I want to do. It's just if I want to do it or not, right? I don't necessarily have fear about doing anything. Sometimes I get like a little like nervous about stuff, especially when it comes to other people. But I think that's just mostly because I'm an introvert. So like being around people and a lot of social interaction is just, it's a lot. But, but, but as far as like doubting I could have the life that I want, there's no doubt in my mind about that. But it took me a while to get to that point. And it took, just like the cookie jar example that you gave, like it took me every time I had a doubt that, oh, I can manifest this thing or I can have this type of life. I thought back to all those times I manifested all those things that I never thought I would be able to have. Like my life, where I live, the kind of like my car outside, I manifested that entire thing. I'm talking about all the features, the interior, how it looks, how it drives, where me and my kids would go in it, everything. So it just took remembering, like, I could definitely do this. I did it before. Like, there's no difference. Maybe it's a little bigger, but so what?
You know, that's the amazing thing. It's that when it's almost like, remember the commercial from back in the day? What was it? The set it and forget it. It's like,
yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Exactly what you think of, right? It makes you think it's like you set the intention to do what you want to do, and then you forget all about it.
Yep.
And go ahead.
And I was going to say, it's not even that you forget. It's just like, all right, let's say, for example, that you're out and you're out at the grocery store. This happens to people all the time. And you're about to pick up something off of the shelf and you think, do I have this at home or not? And then something like strikes in your mind and you're like, oh yeah, I have this in a cabinet. And then you just put it down and you keep going. That's exactly what it's like. It's like you think about what you want and then you remember, oh yeah, I already have this thing, because manifesting is all about believing that you already have it. And I said this yesterday, that there's I don't remember her last name, but there's a neurosurgeon by the name of Tara. And she has this amazing book, and she talked about how our brains don't know the difference between what we envision in our minds that we have and something that actually happened. Like, it doesn't know the difference because time doesn't really exist. So if my brain doesn't know the difference between me driving, let's say, a Ford Taurus and a Ferrari, I'm going to say that I'm driving a Ferrari, right? And so because I'm in the grocery store and I know that this thing is already here for me at in my cabinet at home, I'm not thinking about how am I going to get it? What do I have to do? I'm not thinking about any of those things. I'm just like, oh yeah, it's at home. When I get there, it's going to be there waiting for me. That's how I think about my manifestations. When I get there, it's going to be waiting for me.
You know, that's incredible, because that ties into, I think I was reading it today in one of the textbooks that I was reading for my psychology class. And that was that the brain cannot differentiate fact from fiction. To your brain, what you think it and what you believe that thought to be is real.
Yeah.
The brain doesn't know the difference. And that reminded me a lot of many years ago, my self-esteem was just terrible, right? It was the worst that it ever was. And this is a long time ago. And this was way before you and I even got to working together. And I used to say things to myself that were just fucking awful. And the way that I would talk to myself, I would not talk to another human being the way that I talk to myself, even people that I hated. And my brain believed it. And when I looked in the mirror, I saw that in the reflection, I saw that person that I was making myself to be in my own mind. And I was living in a really dark mental headspace. And it took me a lot to get to where I am today. And by no means I'm perfect. I'm still, you know me well enough, but the audience doesn't. And it's one of those things where you constantly have to be taking actions, the
Yes.
proper actions. And when we want something, our brain says, okay, you want it. And then, say, for example, the car that I have now. Right now, I'm driving a hybrid Toyota RAV4. And I always, always, always wanted a hybrid since the Prius first came out. And I always wanted an SUV. And I remember when I started doing the research for cars and stuff like that, I would always see the RAV4s everywhere. And I would see the hybrid cars everywhere. Then the same thing happened with the car that I had before that, which was a Camry. I wanted this specific model of Camry, and I ended up having it. However, when I ended up getting into the car accident that my car was totaled, and I ended up buying a new car, something told me, I don't know what it was, but I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go on CarMax and look for a car and just see. And just something told me to do that, and I did that, and I'm like, okay, that's really cool. I like that. I'm like, okay, how can I go about getting this car? So again, and then something in the back of my mind told me, call them. They will put a hold on it for you. I had no idea about any of this. I had never bought a car from CarMax. I had never done every car that I've ever owned before that. I went straight to the Toyota dealer and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, well, I called them and I went over there and I put it on hold, and I drove to Daytona, which is probably about a little bit over an hour away from where I am. And when I got there, not only was the car that I've always wanted, it was the hybrid. It is the XSE model, which is the sportier version. It is dual tone, which is also what I wanted. And it only had 10,000 miles in the car, and it was fully fucking loaded. It had the kind of stereo that I wanted. It had the Apple CarPlay. It had everything that I ever wanted in a car, even a sunroof. And all this because I just started following that little tiny voice in the back of my head that kept telling me to do something, which leads me to where I am today, right? It's, as clearly but when I lost my job back in November, at the beginning, I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I'm like, I knew, the bonus and all that stuff was there and everything was going to work out, but I didn't think it was going to take as long as it has, right? But through this entire process, I keep reminding myself that it's going to work out. It's going to work out. It's going to keep going. And I'm putting myself in situations that I'm allowing myself to grow. I'm allowing myself to continue pursuing the dreams and continue pursuing something different. Whether or not, do I know where that's going to lead? No. Do I know where I want it to go? Absolutely. It sometimes could be two different things. So the thing that I will say is to everyone listening is that taking action, it's probably by far one of the most important things that we could do when it comes to manifesting. At least that's been my perspective, right? You set your mind to say, I want this. And you put it up on the shelf and you look at it every day, but it's like, yep, that's what I want. I'm going to get it someday. And that is the one thing that has proven to me, that cookie jar concept that we talked about, that has proven to me over and over and over again that there's something to this. There is something to manifesting, because when you're trying to manifest something, it's almost like your brain becomes hyperfixated to an extent, right? On that one thing that you want. And then you start taking action towards that. Of course, doubt creeps in because it happens to me all the time, and fear comes with the doubt, and imposter syndrome, and blah, 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 all that crap that comes along that we tell ourselves. But even though that I still go go through those emotions and those feelings, I still push through it, because that's the definition of courage, is no matter what happens in life, and even if you're afraid, do it anyway.
Yep.
And you could just keep pushing forward. It's something very important now, at least for me. Now, what are your thoughts on that, on action, taking actions when you're trying to manifest something?
So I think it depends, right? I think it's dependent on what you're trying to manifest, right? So if you're trying to manifest, like, let's still go with the parking spot example, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's not much action you need to take other than driving to the place where you want to go. But let's say it's a bigger goal, like launching a business and you want it to be successful, or moving into your dream house or dream apartment, or getting your dream car. Those are bigger things, right? So for that, I would say take action, right? But take intentional and mindful action. Some people think, okay, I want to have this car, for example. I'm going to scour the internet for all of these car places, and you're doing too much, babe. Calm down. Take a moment, figure out exactly what you want. You should see everything. You should even see the stitching in the vehicle. Like that precise. See yourself driving it. Where are you going in this car? Who's in the car with you? What music are you listening to? Does it have air-conditioned seats for when it's hot outside? Like, you need to be able to see yourself. You need to be able to feel the leather on the seats. And to me, like, some people may not manifest like that, right? But this is my method of manifestation. And I think that's important to state, is that everybody has their own method that works for them, right? So for me, hyper visualization is how I manifest stuff really quickly and get exactly what I want every time. And so if I want this specific car, when I go online, once I have this clear visualization in my head, I'm not looking through a ton of cars. Actually, this car is going to present itself to me on the internet. I'm not even going to do that much. Maybe I'll go on CarMax, like you said, but I'm going to scroll through some cars, and then the car is just going to be there. It's going to have all of the things that I imagine in my head. It's going to have the cushy leather seats, the seat air conditioner thingy majig. It's going to have all of that stuff because I'm in alignment with what I want, right? And so whenever you are in intentional alignment with the thing that you want, it comes to you. And I think when people do too much, when they exert too much action, you are not, first of all, you're not in alignment with the thing that you want, because you don't actually believe that you can get it. That's why you're doing too much. That's why you're applying all of this action when that's not necessary. And there's a part of you that actually believes that you're not going to get it. That's also why you're applying too much action. And so I think you have to find kind of like this sweet spot where you know when to apply pressure or when to apply action, and then when to just chill. Because some of the things that I set intention for, I intentionally set intention for those things to manifest when I'm ready for them to manifest. Because right now, maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I'm not emotionally, spiritually, financially, whatever it is, type of ready. Maybe I'm not ready, but I know that this is the thing that I want eventually. So I'm going to set intention for that thing, but I know that I'm going to have to build my way to that thing. So it's still a line of intention there, but it's also knowing that I'm not fully ready to receive that thing yet. And that's something that I mentioned yesterday when we were just talking, was that people always think about what they want, but you also have to think about, okay, if I get this thing that I'm trying to manifest, then what? Am I ready for it? If I manifest $1 million, but I have no idea of how to manage $200, I'm going to blow it. It's going to be gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I just got really excited because that's what we fucking talked about yesterday. And when I was thinking about it, it's we want things now. That's the kind of world that we live in now. Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yep.
And everything has to be now. But just to touch up on your point is just because we want $1 million now does not mean that we know how to handle $1 million right now.
Yep.
Just like we want fame, and some people want fame and fortune. Okay, but are you ready to handle what comes with fame and fortune?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you know all these celebrities that have to deal with paparazzi and stalkers and all the other negative stuff side of Hollywood that always comes up? Not everybody's ready for that. They want the glam, but they don't know what it's going to take. And that's the one thing I was actually thinking about recently is that life is about a series of events after the next, right? It's one event after the next one. Some events are negatives and some events are positive. But no matter what happens, life continues. You keep going, you keep going, you keep going. And a lot of times people want an easier life. But what is an easier life? What are they trying to manifest? What is it about the life that they want it to be easy? Is it, I don't know, for me right now, easier would be having some income coming in, right? Doesn't matter whether it's a job or something. It wouldn't make it easier, but it would be less stress for me right now. But thankfully, I took the proper measurements prior to it and and I had an action plan for a while that I am still okay. I am still able to have a roof over my head. My wife takes care of all the food and stuff like that and some of the other bills. So between the two of us, we're good, right? So I'm not ready to live on the street, if you will, right? But it's definitely, I've taken the proper actions to get to where I am today. And when you were talking about earlier about people that tend to want something so bad that they overwork themselves and they do too much. I'm notorious for doing that. And I was doing it recently where, I was doing so much for the business, plus schoolwork, plus trying to find a job, plus everything else. And I would be in this room from 5:30 in the morning all the way up until 10:30, 11 o'clock at night with an hour for working out, eating, and shower. And it was nonstop. And I just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah, that's tiring just to hear you say that. Like, I'm tired.
It's exhausting. And that's why I think I told you this yesterday, and that is that I made the decision that I'm going to take a little bit of time and just focus on schoolwork. And, of course, we'll continue working on the podcast, but I'm just going to take my time. And if I feel like I'm only going to sit in this office until noon, then so be it, until noon. And that's it. And just go do other things. But I want to take a step back to kind of realign myself a little bit better and stay away from technology, stay away from social media, because those are all distractions. We all know this, right? So I'm going to take it to the basics, a pad and a pen. And even if it means I'm going to go sit in the woods somewhere by a lake or something and just write stuff down, whatever comes to mind, I'm going to write it down. And I'm going to take it back to the basics. And that's what I want to do. I want to just be simple, be still. Yes, I meditate. Yes, I exercise and I do all these things. That's great. But I'm not being still. And I'm constantly going. Like today, for example, I woke up at 5:30 in the morning today. I did schoolwork. I applied for some jobs. And then I did some stuff around the house. I was running around doing a bunch of things around here, running a couple of errands. And then I started doing more schoolwork. And then when I finally got done with everything else, with everything that I had to do, it was already like 5:30 when I finally got done with everything that I was doing. And I'm just like, I can't. I'm like, I'm exhausted mentally, just like I have zero energy. Like whenever I'm working out, it's just, I push myself to do it just so I have some sort of physical activity. But mentally, I'm running on fumes. And it's a lot. And with that kind of mindset, I'm always afraid that with being exhausted and running on fumes, I'm afraid that the mentality that comes along with that feeling of exhaustion is going to lead to negative thoughts. Because when we're tired, a lot of times we're not thinking clearly. So how do you make sure that when negative thoughts do creep up, you manage them in a way that they don't interfere with what you're trying to manifest?
So kind of to like go back to two things ago that you said, and it ties in with like your question. So how I guess keep negative thoughts at bay and stop them from interfering with the things that I want to manifest is by first not thinking about things as negative. We've had this discussion before privately, but I view myself from two different perspectives. I view myself as a participant of the world, meaning I interact with everybody, everything, and I experience emotions, right? But then I also view myself from the perspective of the observer. And from the observer perspective, I live in a place of neutrality, meaning that nothing is good or nothing is bad. Things are just happening. And I learn a lesson from the good things and I learn the lessons from the quote unquote negative or bad things. But nothing is necessarily bad, right? I think it's more so uncomfortable. Humans are notoriously uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. So if anything we find uncomfortable, we label it as negative, when sometimes we just don't like how it feels. It doesn't feel nice. It doesn't make us feel happy. But happiness, sadness, anger, these are all just states of being that we're all supposed to experience, right? You can't experience one without the other because of duality. And so I would say that is a big part. So let's say let's say I want to manifest something and I have a, air quote, negative experience. I think about, okay, well, let me think about what this situation is trying to teach me or tell me. Or maybe I wasn't ready for this thing that I wanted to manifest. Or it just depends on the situation. Because I've had things that I wanted to manifest that I didn't get. And then in the long run, I actually found out like, whoa, glad I dodged that bullet. Or I'm glad that I waited and I was able to get this thing that I actually really wanted, right? Instead of settling for this other thing. And so I think it's all about the way that you frame your mindset. And also, like you said about the like kind of running yourself ragged, I think that people have to learn how to be still. A lot of times, and I think this is a very Western thing as well, we feel like we're lazy or we feel like we're unproductive if we're not doing anything. You being still and being silent and maybe going into the woods or writing or just going out to a park and spreading out a blanket and laying in the grass and just feeling the sun on your face. That's still you taking care of you. And that's enough. You don't have to be doing all of the things all of the time. You don't have to always be being productive or working towards a goal or any of these things, because at the end of the day, you're taking care of yourself. And so there are times when I have a lot of ambition, a lot of goals to do a lot of different things, but then I feel something that just tells me stop everything. And I listen to it. I don't push myself. I don't keep going. I just completely shut down for business. It's done. I may go 3-4 days, a week or 2 weeks, sometimes even a month, and I won't do anything because I'm not supposed to. And for me, I think this is the time when that happens, because I respect that, I also get a lot of downloads and a lot of like signs and people coming to me, or just like a lot of things that further kind of like open up my mind or give me like creative juice or inspire me or whatever the case is. And then when I go back in, when I get that feeling of, okay, now it's time, I got everything I need.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have to guess anymore. I don't have to sit at my computer for hours and think, oh, how I'm going to do it, because I already know how. I got all the information now. It's fully processed. I know what I'm doing. I've been told what to do. Here I go. And I think if we learn how to respect that silence, respect that peace in ourselves, then we will have less and less and less of those negative experiences, or at least our perspective of how we view them. Now, if you're always in the participant mode, you're always going to experience these things, but you have to learn how to back away and be an observer of your life and of the world from a neutral stance.
It's really interesting that you say that, because we are in this country, we are taught that we have to hustle. We have to be running and going and going, and we run ourselves ragged, right? We have to get to the point that we work so hard that the stress that it's causing all of us in our bodies. I mean, that's that class that I'm taking right now is all about stress, right? And the psychology of stress and what it does to our bodies and our minds. And I remember a couple of years ago, I went to a holistic doctor, natural doctor, or whatever people want to call it. And she was working alongside my PCP. I had some blood drawn. I had a bunch of tests done. And she didn't know me from anywhere. She did not know me. When she started looking through my results of all the tests that I had done, she's like, "Are you under a lot of stress?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, because she's showing on your results."
Your cortisol levels?
Well, the cortisol levels, there were also other factors that I'm clearly not going to talk about on here, but there were other things that were done, and in those results, it shows that it was all stress. And that's the one thing that people tend to forget, that, like you said, sometimes by just sitting down, doing nothing, you are doing something. My therapist told me that a while ago. She's like, sitting down, doing nothing is actually doing something. And this society that we're a part of, where we're constantly going and going and going, all we really are doing is damaging our bodies and our minds, because we're not taking time to just be. And one of my favorite movies is Eat, Pray, Love. I never read the book, but I just love the idea of picking up and just say, fuck it. I'm going to go live around the world for a year and just experience life. I'm like, oh, that sounds fucking awesome. But my favorite part is when she goes to Italy. And my favorite line in that movie when she's in Italy is when the guy says, in Italy, according to the movie, in Italy, they have a phrase called that says, dolce fa niente. And that's the sweetness of doing nothing. And when you think about just sitting still and just relaxing, just being one with nature, being one with the universe, by disconnecting, removing all the distractions, computers, TVs, anything, and just being still, there's nothing like it. Whenever I get the most stressed, and I get super, super stressed where I can't, nothing, even working out doesn't help me. Or even working out, meditating, nothing helps. What I do is I go into the rec center near the house, and I go in a little nature preserve area that they have there, where I'm surrounded by trees, and I just sit there. That's it. And the smell of the trees and the sounds of the birds and sometimes the planes that go overhead, in the area, just the ambiance of it all. The sounds of the trees swaying side to side, the branches rubbing up against one another, the wind moving the leaves, and the smells that comes along with it. That to me is pure bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know if for some people listening it might sound kind of hokey, but being one with nature, there's nothing like it. We are human beings. We are not machines.
Yes.
And we need to sometimes just take time for ourselves, whether that is exercising, reading a book, going out for a nature walk, drawing, whatever that looks like for you, the individual, that brings some joy and relaxation. That's what they need. That's what they need to do in that moment. For me, that is just, I love being creative and love working out, but to me, nothing compares to just sitting somewhere where I'm surrounded by nature and nothing else. Like if I want to go to the beach, I never touch my phone. Because I've gotten so good at telling the time by where the sun is. That's it. If I need to look at the time, I just look up and look at where the sun is, and that's it. Because the tranquility and the peacefulness that comes with just sitting by the beach and just feeling the air and the sun and the sounds of the ocean breaking and stuff like that, it's been incredible. And I'll end that part with a funny note. For a couple of weeks now, every single time that I plug my phone into my car, the maps come up, and the two things that the map is suggesting, like the two presets that are suggesting me to go, are both beaches that I tend to go to all the time. So I'm like, okay, so that's a sign that I need to go to the beach soon. So maybe that'll be one of my nature treks for next week. But yeah, it's the signs are all around us.
Yes. 1,000%.
We tend to forget because we're so busy going from one thing to the next, which touches up on the point that you brought up earlier, is that we go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, but no breaks in between.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes in those breaks, in those gaps in between those things, there could be something that we're missing. Mm-hmm. But we're so focused and on the go mentality that we let opportunities go by because we're not paying attention. We're so focused on the hyper focus on the one thing that we're not taking the time to just sit still and take stock of where you are, how you want to get to where you want to go. And that all comes by sitting still.
And not only that, but also, and I used to talk to you about this all the time, it's about gratitude, right? Because we say like, oh, I want this thing. Oh, I accomplished this goal. And then on to the next thing and on to the next. And you just checking off these goals off your list. But at no time in between are you ever stopping to be like, oh, wow, like I accomplished this thing. And I'm so grateful and I'm so excited and I'm so happy. And people think like, oh, just because I don't have these material things, then I have nothing to be grateful. You woke up. You woke up. You have breath in your lungs. You can get out of your bed. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so many things that we take for granted that we need to be grateful for. Even with like nature, we think, oh, well, nature is always gonna, I can always go hiking, or I can always go for a run, or I can always do this, but the planet is suffering right now. And so we need to take care of it because we have this thing as human beings, especially like in Western society, where we believe that we are separate from nature, and we're not. We're a part of it. That's why when we're in it, like our body has physiological changes that can be measured of how it feels and how it distresses us and how it makes us calmer and feel more at ease. And we find a sense of peace in it that we can't necessarily describe, but it's this just overwhelming feeling of just calmness. And it's like the nature just absorbs it. And then we get to walk away feeling like we can breathe. And that's something to have gratitude for.
I remember for a while there when I was journaling, which I need to get back to that at some point, but for a while I was journaling every day. And one of the things that I would always tell myself when I'm journaling is I would create a summary of what I did that day and my observation of it. And then at the end, I would list 5 to 10 things that I was grateful for. And every sentence I would start with, I am grateful for. Mm-hmm. And I am grateful for. And the reason why that's a good thing for people to do is because we are essentially rewiring our brain.
Yes.
As we do that, to be in a different mindset. And no matter what I've gone through in recent months and all the crap that I went through last year, the one thing that has always been true is the things that I'm grateful for. And I may overlook them at times because I'm going from one thing to the next. Mm-hmm. But when I take a step back and just stand there and just look, take it all in. And in that moment, that feeling that I get, it's just like pure fucking bliss. Mm-hmm. Couple of instances. There was one time today where the stress class that I'm taking, we're talking a lot about meditation and what it does to the body. And one of the assignment was to lay and meditate for 45 minutes and do the body scan. That's exactly what it was all about. And the entire body scan was about, okay, you're going to go from your toes and literally just focus on every inch of your body as you go up. That's what the body scan is. And then that's when you start to notice, for those that don't know, when you do the body scan on meditation and you start to focus on different areas of your body, you start to realize that there are certain areas of your bodies that are always tense, but otherwise you would not notice it unless you're trying to focus on it. Like for me, there are 3 things that when I'm laying down that I tend to, that I notice that I'm always tense. It's usually my shoulders, because I always cut them up. My tongue is always at the roof of my mouth. And the one weird thing is, even my butt cheeks sometimes are tense, because when I'm laying down, they're tense. I don't know why, but they're clenched. I'm like, what? I'm like, why are they tense? I'm laying down watching TV, just relax. And that's proof that your entire body tenses up without you even realizing it. Mm-hmm. And having that knowledge of all these things, noticing these things is helping. It does help. And then there are other times where just a couple, I think it was last week, I was downstairs and I stood, because my kitchen and my living room are connected, right? And I was standing there and I'm looking around, I'm like, damn. And I started thinking about all the great times that we've had with friends and that have come over, hang out, all the good food that we eat, and all the great movies that we watched in that living room. And I'm just like, and I've become overwhelmed with the sensation of gratitude.
Yeah.
Because the one thing that I've been saying to myself is, this may not be my physical house, but it's my home.
Yeah.
And that puts me in that mindset of gratitude. And it's relaxing. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that people should often do, is just sit still, look around you, and think about where you got those things from. What did you have to do to get that TV that you have on the wall that we often overlook, right? Mm-hmm. For me, one of the things that's in my cookie jar is I have always been a big fan of Apple products. I love them, and I always wanted Apple products, and that's what I have now. Every single thing that I have now, it's an Apple product. And I always wanted so many things that I now have. And because of that sense of gratitude that I feel towards all those things, it has shifted my mindset to not seek out material things as much.
Mm-hmm.
because material things are just basically like a means to an end, you know? And yeah, there are some things that little things here and there that are cool and all that, but they're just material things. Like for me, spending time with friends and loved ones, it's means more than anything. That's my biggest thing. And just this past weekend, my wife surprised me with an early birthday celebration. And she had been planning this since January, I think, because it's a big year. It's 50. I'm going to be 50 next on Monday, on the 12th. And she was planning all these things with our friends, and we get to this place, and I had a feeling, you know, that intuition kicked in.
Yeah.
That intuition kicked in because I'm like I envisioned one of our friends. I'm like, oh crap! Then when I showed up, she was there, and when I started walking up, I saw them sitting out because they were sitting outside, but I pretended that I didn't see them. I put my head down, so I don't see you. So when I got up, it was more of a surprise. But it was when I got up there, just seeing everybody that was there and all the efforts that they all put together. 3 of our friends drove up from Miami just to be here for the weekend to celebrate that birthday, and just seeing that and being there, I felt loved. I felt grateful. I felt fucking happy. In the last months, that's been a struggle, you know, because of all the stuff, you know, the whole thing that I've discussed. But in that moment, it was just like nothing else mattered. I was fully present in that moment. And we all laughed, we all ate good food, and we all just shut the shit for like 2 or 3 hours. And they sang me happy birthday, the cake, and everything else. And it was just a great surprise that I was not expecting. But above all, the amount of peace, love, and gratitude that I felt in that moment, yeah, nothing else beats it. Just, I don't think, let me ask you this. Do you think a person could be there all the time in that state of mind?
No. And I think if you were in that state of mind all the time, then you wouldn't feel grateful when those opportunities happen. Because, like I said, like feeling any emotion is something we get to experience. Like we get to experience sadness, we get to experience anger, we get to experience all of these array of emotions as part of our human experience being here. So to stay in that state is, I think, is limited.
You know, I've been a big believer that you can't have the good without the bad.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Duality.
Yeah, duality. You just can't, right? It's a lot of people don't know that, but you know, you can't really appreciate the sun without the night, you know? And that's the one thing that I've learned is that if something bad happens, and then when the good does happen, I'll appreciate it even more. So
yeah.
Anything else before we wrap up?
No, that's it. I'm very just grateful to be here. I'm excited. We finally got to do this because we talked about this a while ago. Like, oh, you start a podcast, you know. So it's definitely coming to, you know, you manifested this. It's definitely coming to fruition, and like I'm just excited to be, you know, a pebble on your long journey.
Well, I'm grateful to have you in it. Where can people find you?
So right now, you guys I don't have any social medias running enough right now, but if you want to reach out to me, you can email me at Tamyra, that's spelled Tamyra.Alicia, Alicia at iCloud.com. And I will respond back to you. I am in the works with some special projects myself. And once these little babies are born, you know, I will update that information and Tom can drop it and you guys can connect with me then. But other than that, I'm just super grateful, very proud, very excited. And yeah, I think this is great because our journeys are like extremely like mirror images of one another, and I'm grateful, and also happy early birthday. This has been a great experience. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. Would definitely love to come back, and I can't wait to see where you go, what you do with the podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I will make sure to put your email address on the description, and for anybody to reach out to you that way. And that's it. With that being said, it was awesome. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you so much. Peace. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who might need a little extra inspiration. And remember, every small step you take is a step towards a better you. I can't wait to chat with you next time about more self-development tips and practical ways to turn obstacles into opportunities. Until then, be kind to yourself, and remember, your thoughts don't define you. You do. Onward, forward.